Let me just get us rocking and rolling. Apologies for being a couple of minutes tardy. We do have 30 minutes this morning, so we need to end by 8:30. So most of you are familiar at this point. We do an interview, a short, quick interview to get the perspective of some of our clients and business owners that we work with. The Exit Planning Institute, we used to do a lot of live owners forums, and we will get back to that. This was our answer to making sure we continue those conversations throughout COVID and while everyone is still in virtual mode.
Which turned out to be a great byproduct because it was
Yeah.
well received. That 20-30 minute clips of getting in an owner's mind on how they really think turned out to be something that advisors really wanted to see.
Absolutely. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Joe and let him introduce Brian, and we'll get going.
Thanks, Shelley and Ella. Hey, welcome everybody. Good to see you today. I'd like to introduce you to one of my friends and clients, Brian. Brian, tell us a little bit about your business. What do you do?
So we specialize in internal engine components for sport compact, which would be Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Mitsubishi, Subaru, branched out into side-by-side, which is Polaris, Can-Am, Honda, those markets. Basically internal engine components, but hard parts, crankshafts, connecting rods, things that make your car go faster. Grew up in the industry with Crower Cams. That was started in 1955 by my uncle and my dad. Branched out in 2006 to focus on these newer applications, and that was what, 18 years ago. So
when you said branched out, did the business branch out, or did you as one of the children branch out and do your own thing?
Well, as I was talking to Shelley earlier, there was no succession plan on the family business, and you could kind of see it where there wasn't a lot of investment in machinery and things like that, and so this market came along. When I say this new market, sport compact, meaning the old guard was doing Chevys, Fords, Chrysler, old V8, not old but still relevant, but older engines, V8 stuff. And then these engines started, people started, younger generation started tuning these cars, modding these cars. And we started doing it at Crower, and then, the inventory kind of, imagine doing a single cam engine for decades. And then here comes Brian with his 4-cam Subarus. And so I had an aunt that she controlled the checkbook. So basically she controlled the business, and she informed my dad that they don't want to do that market anymore. And so with all of my suppliers and vendors that we were using, it was easy for me to kind of spin off. It wasn't an amicable spin-off. My dad never talked to me again, but it was something that I felt needed to happen, being that there was no future for me down there in terms of being able to control it. And I'm not a control person, but I wanted to be able to guide the direction of the business. And I mean, it never even got to that point, but come full circle, I'm talking to my aunt about actually buying it now. So kind of an interesting.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So your dad and uncle not spending the time to have a succession plan that made sense for the family members in the business actually drove some of those family members to do their own thing. Is that fair? Or you at least?
Correct. Well, my cousin, Daniel, left before me to do motorcycle cams and, related parts, not related to the actual engines that they were doing. So he left probably 6-7 years before me because of that, meaning there wasn't a future for us. I mean, I'm not saying I could have been running the show today, but it wouldn't have been the same. There would have been more controls over me and things like that. And so it was announced. We were at a trade show, and my dad and my uncle, and I got them pretty lubed up on whatever they were drinking. And about after midnight, asked what the succession plan was, and my uncle said there isn't one. We started it and we'll finish it. And that was enough for me to start looking, not necessarily elsewhere. I wasn't going to go work for another competing company, but I was and I really didn't want to leave. It was like cheating on the family, kind of thing. It was actually my wife's idea that said you should leave and do your own thing. We'll pull equity out of the house. You can start it in the garage, and that was where what we did, and we never looked back. And like I said, it's hopefully going to come full circle. I've partnered with a very reputable conglomerate in the industry, would be kind of a lack of a better term, to actually partner with me to get this family business and run that as well, because it's basically the same thing, just different engines. So it wouldn't be double the workload, more or less. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
Dad and uncle not having a plan and actually saying, we're going to die with our boots on, caused two major component players that were in the business, his child and your dad's child, to go out and do those things where that business could have had other lines of business had it all stayed together.
Correct. Yeah.
Now-
They shot themselves in the foot, more or less.
So
So
you-
not only did they lose the succession plan, but like you said, they lost other applications that would fit into their line of work, would be the
Now,
term.
fast forward a bit, you've been on this business, you and your wife started in the garage. You now have a successful business doing this, well known in the industry, where you took off. You've been doing this business how long now?
Since 2006, so 18 years.
And it's done really well. How did your cousin do? Is he doing okay out there?
He was doing all right, but he has a different philosophy than me. He wanted to do everything himself. You got guys that are like hands-on, like he wants to grind every cam. I don't grind cams at all. I pay people to grind cams.
Sure.
So there's a different mentality in terms of that. So as far as I mean, he's successful. He didn't have to come back, with his hat in his hand and ask for his job back. So in that respect, I guess he's successful. I don't because I went into a different market, meaning the side by side. Him and I don't talk anymore because he thought that infringed on his business, which was motorcycles, and so a lot of family dynamic. But he would have been valuable if he would have stayed on. Just having more family. The industry now, our industry is getting gobbled up by private equity, and they live every 3 months, and so the first thing they do is fire or lay off all of the high priced employees, and a lot of that's family and guys that know, and so it's rare these days to be able to talk to to call a Crower Cams and talk to an actual Crower. I'm not saying that egotistically. I'm just saying there's a different dynamic with the customer when he's talking to somebody that's invested than versus just an employee. I've got great employees. Some of them know more than I do.
So
And-
you're saying that these two shoot-offs, he went and got a job, and you went out and created a company that's been successful.
I would say that's pretty fair. He did it. He got himself he did basically a single operator deal that does enough to feed his family, I'd say.
Sure. Now, the main company that your dad and your uncle started, unfortunately, both your dad and uncle have passed away, and now your dad's wife owns the building it's in and that original brand.
Uncle's wife,
Uncle's
second wife, Uncle's second wife.
Uncle's second
So-
wife now
Yeah.
owns the brand that has your name on it.
She owns 51%, and that's what I've learned. 51% wins.
All right.
Our kids
And-
have 16%.
So
So-
your dad and your uncle did some estate planning. You have been estranged, so it skipped you. And there's
Correct.
trust that owns part of the original your brand name company, and
Correct.
she has a controlling interest, and she's the second. Well, she's non-blood to everybody. She's the
Correct.
second wife.
Correct.
And, she's-
Bruce was a really smart guy, but he didn't have a good succession plan. Having this lady in charge, I mean, she's a sweet old lady. I got nothing but and I'm actually dealing with her right now, but she knows nothing. She knows nothing
Oh.
about the industry.
So that business, which was the parent business that could have had these lines of business in it that didn't, stayed as a traditional business, got run, and the boys said it. They're going to run it, and they're going to die with their boots on. They did. They had an estate plan, and now a new wife that was never in the industry now controls that. How's that company doing? I heard you just say you're considering buying them now.
Yeah, I don't really like talking bad about it, but let's just put it this way. It did 20 million the last year I left in 2005, and they might have done 7 million this year.
So
So it's in
now
decline.
it's now a target company that can be acquired. Private equity is not interested because of what's happening, but you are. Why are you interested in getting it?
Because I love my job. I love making people go faster. I think the whole manufacturing aspect of, you know, making something from a piece of metal is, you know, I grew up in it, and you know, we do outsource some stuff. We don't make everything, but you know, I grew up in a manufacturing family, and I believe, you know, I mean, you know, I'm gonna vote for Trump, and he's talking about eliminating income tax and putting tariffs, 100% tariffs, and I'm all for it, you know, and it's going to cost me some money, but you know, maybe that'll drive us to make everything here. But yeah, the industry, it's a great industry. I tell people, you know, I don't consider it work. I go to the office and people call us and give us money to make them go faster. It's a pleasant phone call, happy phone call. So I'm not selling insurance or cold calling people or whatever. And so, you know, it's something that they want to purchase. They don't need to purchase it. So it's the whole aspect's pretty cool. And, you know, just the whole racing scene. I mean, there's so many genres of racing, and I always tell people a day at the track is, you know, goes by really quick. And so it's to me, it's important, you know. So I tell my kids, just do something you love, and then, you know, you'll never regret a Monday or, you know, a bad day at the office or whatever. And so, yeah, that's the problem, is that there wasn't a succession plan. You know, there was no, and now the second generation, my cousins who are running it, they have one foot out the door. One's 63. She's looking at retirement. And so it's really kind of like they're kind of playing my aunt, to where they're going to run it till they're done, run it into the ground, and then walk away and leave her a giant dumpster fire of a business to manage. And you know, I'm pretty clear to her that if this thing goes bankrupt and it's public, I don't want it anymore. To me, it's tainted. And so there's a fine line between letting it go too far, but we're making, you know, I've had a lunch with her. I've had a dinner with her, with my partners. They're going to invite her up to their facility, and they have 250 employees up in Irvine making pistons and rods. They're going to show her their operation. You know, so it would be in good hands moving forward if we can make this thing work. And she understands that, you know, she's makes it appear that she's very, her number one priority is to carry on Bruce's legacy. And I don't think what a better story than to sell the business to her nephew, who just happens to have the right last name, and partner with a well-respected company that's already in the industry. And I think that would set the trend for you know, at least 10 years for me. Who knows, maybe longer, but I think 67, I put that, and 10 years would be enough for me to build it to where I would want. And I have key employees that I feel are capable of running it when I'm not there. So
what lessons have you learned now that you're in the senior generation? Let's assume that we're a year from now. You have a partner, she's out, they got cash or a payout. Part of the company is still owned by your kids because of this trust and the other kids, and you're running it. What have you learned about succession planning that you would like to do differently?
Well, definitely have one in place. That's a start. And then I've quizzed my kids. You know, my son, he makes more money playing poker than he does working a job, and he's not into cars or engines. And so it's kind of round peg, square hole deal. My middle daughter is going to her master's program, but it's in urban planning and city design. That's not really a mechanical engineering degree. And then my youngest daughter is, I've asked her, but there's just not a lot of interest in it and I need somebody that's passionate about it, not just, I'll do you a favor, Dad, and run this thing, you know, because it would end up in the same position as Crower. And, you know, if the Crower thing goes through, it's a lot bigger than me. And so I would have to have, definitely, there would be a succession plan. you know, and that we would probably set up in the next 3 to 5 years. Because I just don't want to see it happen. What happened to Crower and my family happened to what I've built. I consider myself smart and kind of ahead of the game, and that's a big part of the program is, or the process is, to be able to transition into retirement, I guess would be the, I don't know if I can ever retire, but
Or have a place to hang your hat, but not be in charge. I know that,
Right.
we were just talking before the call, and Shelley was talking about how we do this with Founders Group and what your plans are and what we can do. The advisors, when we first started this, did you have an attorney, accountant, a financial advisor, et cetera?
yeah, we had a terrible one.
How'd that work out for you?
Now we're with you. So yeah, in the end it worked out, but we had to get to you to, and you know, I don't know if we get into that story, but we were audited by the IRS due to some plays that our accountant was doing. So basically they went after his top five customers or clients, and we got drug into that. And it was pretty stressful, you know, when you get 15 envelopes in the mail from the IRS, and you don't. There's nothing that I could, you know, that I could do to make this thing right. And we try to, you know, we were referred to a lawyer, and that thing got drug out and paid him a lot of money, and you know, and essentially it was really no fault of ours. We just got kind of drug in on the wide net that the IRS threw out there, and you know, once we got in touch with you, you know, there's something about you that gives me a lot of peace of mind. You know, we don't we do the program with you, and I don't luckily I don't feel we utilize it as much as we should, but because of that, we don't have a lot of these pressing or stressful issues that come up. But it gives me great peace of mind to know that I have you on my cell phone, and you know, and I'm not talking like, well, I don't drink, but you know, if one of my kids gets a DUI or so, I'm not talking those kind of calls. I'm talking, you know, if I have a question, say it's this acquisition of Crower, we can lean on you, and we get great counsel, and you know, honest counsel, and there's no hidden agenda or you know, looking for billable hours or whatever games get played, and it just, like I said, it's really calming for me to have you in our corner, you know, because I know, you know, you don't come off, you know, you're very in touch with a lot of powerful people.
Thank you for that.
And
audience,
I'm not saying that in a mob style way, but
for the audience members, I would share that what Brian has been hitting towards is that it was some advanced income tax planning done for the company and them personally. And that advanced income tax planning was not cutting edge, but bleeding edge. And in that bleeding edge planning, that advisory group, the accountant, financial advisor, et cetera, that did it, got in a lot of trouble and got their clients in trouble. Brian was had been audited for multiple years. They were in the middle of an audit with the IRS. They had it was not going well. That firm was trying to defend. The next firm that was brought on was to litigate with the IRS. It became a much bigger thing than it needed to be. So we were able to come in and with another accounting firm and drive some sanity to it all. Settle with the IRS in a way that didn't cause litigation. And actually, we developed such deductions by the way we sold that we actually took the benefit of what we had to pay over a number of years, still at the very tail end of that now, such that whatever number had to be paid, well over half of that turned out to be not having to pay the IRS more anyways, and created some peace of mind. Subsequently, that person was asset protected, but that firm ended up getting in litigation with a couple of our clients to say, give us stuff back. They were well protected, but we were a little bit more forceful, and we got some of that money back too. So that's how all that came about. Brian had mentioned a program. We have a maintenance program. We have a maintenance program called our Family Counselor Program. So Brian and Nicole have done their overall plan. for their estate plan and business and taxes. And we meet an additional few times a year on not an hourly basis, but a flat fee to kind of keep up with what is going on in the tax world, what's going on in the company, how are we utilizing the deductions that we had before, and then plans on, do we acquire this company? Do we settle mom's estate? Do we this, do we that? So it's been nice, and Brian, thank you for the compliments. What do you know now about hiring advisors that you wish you knew 10 years ago?
Well, I know we're not leaving you.
Thank you.
But I mean, it's hard because you know it's you get out in the weeds of trying to find representation, and you don't really know what you're getting into. I mean, yeah, you can talk to. I mean, we've got lawyer friends, and that's how we got down that path with. I won't mention his name, but
Sure.
we got down that path, and he came highly recommended. But our friend is a personal injury lawyer. It has nothing to do with taxes and any of that realm of or discipline, and so yeah. I think a little more research to answer your question. I would say a little more research and talk to a few more people that have been in our situation, and then go from there. I mean, I know it's come up, doesn't come up often, but if somebody is in San Diego and they have issues that aren't, whether it's financial or things like that, I definitely throw Joe's name out there, because I know that my reference is going to put them in the right direction. Whether they work with Joe or not is not my goal, but it'll, and I don't even know if Joe takes on a lot of new clients, but we throw it out there, and I know that if they do get a hold of him, he's going to be counseled in the right way, above board and all that. And I'm comfortable rather than just saying, no, I don't know, because our guy really sucked, and so, that's so what I knew 10 years ago, I would say I would do a little more research, and but again, there's you can Google search all you want, and you're not gonna it's hit and miss.
How about the rest of our team, the accounting firm and the financial advisor? How'd you choose them, and how's it going?
Well, Barry Waxler came over with the old accountant who's no longer in existence, but the Keith Troutman and Baker Tilly were part of the program you brought in to unwind the IRS, and we were really so pleased with the outcome that it would have been foolish of us to again go out on our own and try and work a program. We might have saved a little bit of money, but in the end, for me, it's all about peace of mind and knowing we're in good hands. And I know Keith and Art and those guys at Baker Tilly, they're on it. There's always, the first part of our what are they, quarterly meetings are
Yes.
talking tax strategy and things like that, and what could be coming, and what we should do on that. And so, I always say, my focus is on selling cams. I'll let the other guys worry about all of that stuff. And if we sell a lot of cams, then we'll definitely obviously need tax planning and counsel and things like that. So that's what I worry about. And I let you guys worry about other things that don't necessarily pertain to my wheelhouse.
Oh, perfect. Brian, I want to thank you on behalf of all of us on the call here today. You've given us a great amount of insight into how business owners think. And if you don't have a plan as a family, what might happen, and how you want to have a plan, and how that can be different, including kids, how to choose advisors, how to work with them. So, Brian, thank you for saying yes to this morning. Really
Thanks, Jeff.
appreciate it.
Anything for you.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Ellen, Shelley, as always, thanks for making all these things come together. Shelley, I like a minute ago, you were doing the Disney princess thing. That was cute.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Stay out
God,
of the
thank
heat,
you
Joe.
all.
Stay
See
out
you
of the heat,
guys.
Joe.